If you're a young man who has just graduated high school, you are in danger. You are in trouble. The way that you're living your life right now is leading you to becoming a deferrer. And that is not something that you want to be. That is bad. That is the wrong thing to be. You are right now in danger. The choices that you're making right now and the decisions that you are making are very imperative because this right now is the most important time of your life. I'm not being hyperbolic at all. This is very serious. This is very serious. These are serious times. These are serious matters. You are in danger of becoming a loser. You're in danger of your life becoming stale, mundane, monotonous, boring, pale. Need I go on? When you graduate high school as a young man, the next phase of your life is the most important part of your life because you are about to enter your 20s. And your 20s are the most important years of your life because they are what determine literally the rest of your life, how the rest of your life goes. For 10 years straight, you have 10 years from the age of 20 to 30 to get things right and make sure they are right. And a lifestyle change like leaving high school is going to be so drastic that you need to lock it in right now. It's very important because there's a certain timeline that most people will go through. So when you graduate high school, you have one of three options. You have either work, college, or military. As I'm sure everyone's been telling you, you can either do one of the three. And I'm not going to lie, each of the three don't seem as appealing. Well, number one, working, no one really wants to work. Yes, you do get money, that's a very good positive, but working is not really what you had in mind, and also just going to work just for wages, an hour, working at McDonald's is not what you want to be when you grow up. Likewise, going to university. You just got out of school, you're not going to feel like going back to doing more school, even though people say that's the wise option. And I would agree that it's probably the smartest option, but it is not ideal. And then the third, military, where you have to go shave your head, and you stay there for multiple years, and you may get sent off to get blown up in Iraq. Yeah, not great, not ideal. So then what do you then do? Well, obviously the answer is to start a business of your own. Work a business of your own. Make a business yourself where you create it and you work for yourself and you make money. But that is easier said than done, obviously. So you have three options, like I said, and most people choose them based on their life that they've lived up to that point. There are three different timelines that I'm going to go over. There are the smart kids in school, the trade kids, we'll call them, and then the average kids. I'm going to go over the timeline of each. So first of all, the smart kids. They got good grades, and because they did so well, they get scholarships where they're able to go to college for free. Someone else is paying for them to go to college. That's amazing. Again, like I said, not ideal, but it is pretty good. It's probably the best of the three options. They're probably someone who, mommy and daddy are paying for them to go to college. If they didn't get scholarships already, their parents are paying for the rent. Parents are rich, and if they're not rich, they're richer than you. They're certainly richer than you. You probably know them. They probably became valedictorian, homecoming queen, all these things. They probably gave a speech at the graduation, how happy they are to move on to the next phase of their life. Now, the outcome of this can be one or two ways. They can either go to college and party, have drugs, sex, all that stuff, and eventually drop out after 3 or 4 years. Once they got their diploma and think it was a waste of time and probably go to work for their parents' law firm. But number two, they can actually go and pursue a career that they actually want and get the degree that they want, which should go to lead to a very nice career. Okay, not bad. That's not bad, but they're going to be making less than 100K a year, which again, even 100K a year is it's not great in this economy. In this economy, not great. But like I said, it's better than the other two. Now, moving on to number two, actually are the trade students. The trade students actually are, again, not ideal, but they're a bit above the average kids. And that's because they went to a trade school, or in high school, they learned some sort of trade where they could just leave high school and go straight into work, the working field, the business. And the difference with them is that they actually know some sort of skill, some sort of job that is already going to have a job waiting for them after they get out of high school. So they can go straight in, and they kind of know the works of the trade. And this is better, like I said, than just working at your local McDonald's or Walmart, because it's actually a hands-on skill. They're kind of learning something. They're getting dirty. If you're a man, like you're much more masculine rather than just working in like a library, things like that. So the trade students, they probably had not rich parents, but they probably had a family member who taught them some sort of stuff growing up. Now again, the first two that I mentioned, smart kids and trade kids, these two are based on pre-established knowledge and skills that they learned ahead of time before graduating. Outcome for them, like I said, is getting a job where they make about 60K a year, which again is not bad. It's not bad at all. But they still do have to work a normal job, and they're subject to wage cuts, getting laid off. They're paid for their time, not their effort, depending on what type of trade they're going into. But again, they sort of have to job hunt and look for these things to sort of pay for the bills. Now let's move on to the average kids. Now this makes up, I'd say, about 80% of high school graduates, where a lot of the kids in your school right now, and probably you watching this video, are just an average kid. Average kids did not get the best grades. You call them C students, Now, of course, this also encompasses the F students and the bad kids. But this is just sort of your average kid. Your average kid, you just kind of go to school. He's the normal guy. He's not too stand out. He didn't make Dean's List. He didn't get straight A's or do any of that stuff. But he's also not, a trade kid. Like, he didn't fix cars with his dad or anything. And your parents probably aren't rich. At the very best, they are middle class, lower middle class. And at the very worst, you're probably poor. You probably don't have a lot of money, and making money for the household is probably something you have to worry about going into the workforce. Now, like I said, leaving high school with them, they have two choices. So if you were a smart kid, you probably do not have a scholarship, unless there's a special program that is going to pay for you to go to college. First, the average kids, what they do when they graduate is they take a gap year, which is the biggest lie that you've probably been sold. You should not be taking a gap year. You should be striking while the iron's hot and attacking. But the reason why a gap year is bad is because nothing gets done. You don't learn anything. Now, the point of it, at the very best, the point of a gap year is to leave high school and learn something about yourself and the world. Most people spend it, if you're probably a normal kid, you're probably like, yeah, I'm out of high school, and they spend it just sitting around doing nothing, just sitting there having fun. Before it's been a year, and their parents eventually begin to kick them and be like, hey, you gotta do something. So then what they decide to do is either go to college, like I said, and then they eventually drop out because it's too hard or they don't like it. Or number two, once they drop out of college, they probably just go to work, because now that they are an adult, they have car payments to pay for, they got to pay for Netflix, for their iPhone bill, and so they just start paying for money, because money is needed. Of course, money makes the world go round. But you see how being an average kid is going to get you the worst possible outcome, because what it does is, if you did not go to college to get an actual degree, to get like a real job or a career, what you're going to be doing is going to job hopping, which is probably the biggest thing with average kids, is that they leave high school and then they work at McDonald's. Then they didn't like their boss there, so they go to work at Walmart. They didn't like that, so they went to go work at their local In-N-Out, then the gas station, then at Wawa, then at Target, Sears, and they just go around sort of working job to job to job, posting about it, and yeah, man, one day I'll do something before they light up some weed and then go watch porn that day. This is what awaits you, and is actually this that should scare you, because the early average kid workforce lifestyle is slowly going to turn into the 9 to 5. You're stuck in the 9 to 5 pipeline. Now, if you manage to get a good job, it's never going to be as high as the smart kids or the traders, unless you go to college and get like a specialized degree or something like that. So going over the options, we have the smart kids. So if you're smart enough in high school, you got paid to go for college, which you could either flunk out of or do really well. You're either a trade kid who learns some sort of special trade who can get you a job. Okay, that's nice. But again, you're still working a normal 9 to 5. And the very last, that we have average kids who are not really good at anything. They're not really good at anything in the real world, like modern society, because your parents are going to tell you, you got to work, go to college, or military. And so an average kid is probably just going to go to the military. Some might, but if you do not want to get blown up, then you're probably just going to end up working a job for the rest of your life and be stuck in it, chasing paycheck to paycheck. Out of all of these, like I said, a smart kid is ideal, but that relies on that you were smart enough in high school. And if you're watching this video now, I'm not going to lie, it's probably too late. But the thing is, I was an average kid. The difference is that timeline is going to take you to becoming a deferrer. Each of those timelines, in a way, could lead you to deferrers. I'd say smart kids have the best chance of making it, even traders, if they work something out, making a business. What you need to do if you are an average kid and you do not have anything going for you, is what you need to be thinking about is business. Starting a business is your only option. And I know it's become cliche on the internet. It's become very talked about a lot about starting businesses. People oversimplify it. But the truth of the reality, like I just laid out, is that this is your only option. Because if you go the normal timeline and you go the normal 9 to 5 pipeline, that's going to lead you to hating your life when you're 40. You're going to probably marry the first girl you meet out of high school. You're going to be stuck paying bills, car payments, bad things are going to happen, and then you're going to be sitting there while you're 45 wondering where it all went wrong. When in reality, the time to strike is now. I've just given you a glimpse of the future. I'm like the Oracle for the Matrix. And what you need to do is snap back to reality, back to your present moment. What you need to do now is start a business. Get into business and learn to make money for yourself. Not making money for someone else and their company while they dole out low payments to you. Or even just going to, college, just learning a bunch of bullshit that you don't even need. What you need to do is get your life together and find a purpose, something that means a lot to you, and create that business. This business must be born out of passion, out of love, and it must encapsulate everything that you are passionate about and that makes you, you. so that you can start to build a life. Your life needs to be built. Because, like I said, those three are the conventional societal timelines. If you want to succeed, and if you don't want any of those, you're going to have to live outside of society. Basically, live outside the camp. You're going to have to make your own fire and forge your own paths. And the way that you do that is by creating your own business and making your own money. And that is why I created this channel. That is the point of Project 30, is where you have 10 years to do this by the age of 30. Of course, you can keep going afterwards, and that's just the beginning of your prime. But as a man, it is important that you are going to need to be working for all of these 10 years up until the age of 30, and even beyond, to create the life that you want, so that you are not stuck in the 9-to-5 jail. It is hell. I'm telling you, it is hell out there in the real world. And while your parents are still paying for a roof over your head, you need to be working. You need to be cooking. This is the time where you need to be locking in, and all of it matters. It's all on the line. Business is your only path forward. So subscribe to this channel so we can become rich before 30. We are going to become rich at 30. We are going to surpass our parents. You only get one chance at life. Are you going to look back with regret? Are you going to look back and be proud of yourself? Because you need to remember this. And this is important.